in the process of writing my book, I'm getting a lot of questions coming in, and one of those is about my co-author who's Norwegian. And so as soon as I mention that, everybody says, wow, Norwegians have the best quality of life, and people are sending me podcasts on the topic. And I've been thinking, and it's interesting because this first book in the series is really about how to survive a horrible breakup. You know, it's a topic that I see in my practice every day. The divorce rate in Orange County is over 70%. So I'm dealing in this world of how do you cope with this, horrible breakup. And then I'm thinking about, well, why are Norwegians so happy, and what does make us happy? And so as I'm listening to all these podcasts, I'm hearing about all the things that they have in Scandinavia that makes people so happy. They have access to good healthcare, and they have fewer work hours and all these things, and that we just don't have access to here in America. But I started thinking about, well, why am I happy, and what are the aspects of happiness that I can control? And so I came up with 4 things that for me have been the most key in my level of happiness. The first one is kindness. Every year I pick a word of the year, and I talk about this with my patients all the time. I don't like doing New Year's resolutions. To me, that just feels really strange. I've just never kind of latched on to that. But I pick a word that I can think about and meditate on, and it just helps guide with new perspective. And of all the words that I've chosen over the years, I think kindfulness has been the one that's had the biggest impact on my level of happiness. I didn't pick kindness because I'm a particularly unkind person. I'm just a little bit introverted, and I'm quiet. And so when I'm walking around, I observe the world around me, but I don't necessarily like to participate. If I'm at the grocery store or standing in line somewhere. So I started thinking about, well, what is kindness? And wearing around the idea, how can I be kind in this situation? And whether I'm with a friend or I'm at home or out in the community. And the more I thought about it, I started realizing that it changed the way that I interacted with other people and the way that people around me interacted with me. And it really did contribute to my level of happiness in a way that was notable. So for me, it's not just about being kind to other people, but it's mindful kindness. We talk about mindfulness all the time in my practice. It's about being in the moment. It's about paying attention. And so paying attention to being kind is one of those factors that's really affected me. The second thing that came to my mind has to do with quality of life. As a psychiatrist, I feel like I specialize in treating quality of life. Same with addiction medicine. There are 2 things that I think about in terms of my life, quality of life, and what I can control. One is clutter, and the other has to do with atmosphere. So for me, I joke with my patients, every light in my house is on a dimmer switch. And when I come home, everything's bright, and I'm watching the news, and I cook dinner. And as I go through the evening, I just start dimming everything down. I light candles, whether I'm reading a book or watching TV. I just create this really relaxed atmosphere. And interestingly, that's one of the things that gets brought up in all these podcasts everyone's sending me when we're looking at Scandinavia. Apparently they like lighting a lot of candles. So that's one of the things that has been really helpful for me. But the second thing has to do with clutter. So all of my patients know when they come in, my office is spotless. I have one corner on my desk where I have paper, and the rest has to be cleared. For me, the more stressed I am and the more I have going on, the more around me my space gets cluttered, and then the more cluttered my space is, the more cluttered I feel internally, or the more chaotic I feel. So going through and clearing out the clutter is one of those things that on a day-to-day basis really, I think, helps improve a sense of calm and peace. But I take it a step further. I was joking with my friend. I did some spring cleaning this year, and on one day I did 2 things. I did my garage and I did my kitchen junk drawer. And it took me like 5 times as long to do my kitchen junk drawer as it did my entire garage. There's everything in that thing. And even after I cleaned it out and it's all organized, I've got menus, I have stamps, I have measuring tape, I have matches, to light all my candles. I have this pile of keys and I have no idea what they unlock. It's just, it all goes in the kitchen junk drawer. And that's what we all have one, and we use it. So as we see the clutter, we pick it up, we just throw it in there so we don't have to deal with it. A lot of us have internalized kitchen junk drawers. And this is what I deal with my patients on a regular basis. It's those little things in life that we just shove aside and we put away. But the problem is it can lead to a lot of chaos and disorganization in our lives if we don't deal with it. And so cleaning out that internal clutter drawer is really important to do. Otherwise, our stresses will start to build and our problems will just start mounting on top of each other. People who are starting to have marital issues will say, oh, well, it's time to make dinner and the kids have to do their homework, and they get caught in all the busyness rather than actually sitting down and thinking about their problems. I can tell you how many patients I've treated who say, oh, my spouse snores, and so I moved into the other room. And then I just stayed there for 17 years. You know, all these little things get pushed away and pushed away. So cleaning out your junk drawer, the literal one and the figurative one, is one of the things that you can do that can really enhance the quality of your life on a daily basis and help with your happiness factor. The third thing that I think about for myself in terms of happiness is health. And we need our health. And when I was younger, it was something that never even crossed my mind. And then I started getting a little bit older and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm actually old enough to start having these health problems now. And I have to go in and have my labs checked and I have to have my vital signs checked. Like, when did I ever have to think about blood pressure? And we have to be mindful of all of these things. So there are a few things that anyone can do, no matter what's going on in life, that can actually really help improve the quality of life by improving quality of health. The first thing is just getting a little exercise. I make it sound so easy. It is not at all. I mean, there's maybe 5% of people I see who come in with their gym clothes and they love it and they're super happy. Most of us don't like it. We get in a rut, we go to work, we come home, we want to watch TV, we want to kind of, go through our routines, and taking time out to exercise isn't fun. It isn't fun for me. I don't love it, but I do it. It's really important. And there's a few simple ways that you can incorporate it in. One is just taking little breaks, 10 minutes throughout the day. 10 minutes on your treadmill before you get in the shower in the morning, 10 minutes during lunch, or 20 minutes to go on a walk, 10 minutes when you get home from work. With the family after dinner, you can come into a habit where you take your dishes, you put them in the sink, and everyone's out the door for a 20-minute walk and coming back. Just finding little pockets of exercise helps with blood flow, it decreases stress, helps our immune system, so it's really one of those things that can go far in terms of preserving your health and leading you more towards happiness. The other thing I think about is vegetables. You have to count your veggies. There's so many recommendations that come out. A few months ago, I read a report on the BBC that researchers now think that people need 10 servings of vegetables a day, but they didn't want to recommend it because they thought people would be so overwhelmed with the recommendation that they literally would just give up. It's a lot of vegetables. Count them. You've got to count what you're eating so you know what you're getting. I want to have 2 servings of vegetables at breakfast. So if I'm making a smoothie, I'm going to measure it out and make sure I'm getting it in there. Being mindful, how many servings of vegetables am I bringing in for my snacks and my lunch, my afternoon snacks, and how many are we getting at dinner? Aim high. The other thing that's really easy to think about is just eating the colors of the rainbow. I had a garden party a few weeks ago and I made this side dish that everyone was asking about, and they said, what is this called? And I said, well, it doesn't have a name, I just threw stuff in a bowl. But what was in there is I had grape tomatoes that I'd cut in half, and I had bell pepper, yellow and orange bell pepper, and I had avocado, and I had red onion, and I mixed it in with beans, and I made a great little lime vinaigrette. And someone said, this is like rainbow salad. There's all the colors of the rainbow in here. I mean, that's the kind of how you need to think about this, is if you're counting your veggies, you're getting all the colors of the rainbow, then you're getting the variety of nutrients that you need. And that's what you need for your health. It's what you need for your energy. And if you have your health, you're one step closer to having your happiness. The final thing for me that I think of, the fourth thing, is really for me has to do with stress and anxiety management. It's been an issue as long as I can remember. I never knew what stress or anxiety was when I was younger. I just knew my fuel ran high octane, and I was just always going. I was always studying. I was always just felt like I had to be on top of things. My fuel in life was stress. And learning in life To switch my life's fuel from stress to joy has been quite a process. It's a fabulous process. But one of the things to do is stress management. So there are 2 simple things that you can be doing that are easy, that can decrease your stress. One of those things is belly breathing. Super simple. You can do it anywhere. And it's just as easy as it sounds. When we are stressed, we breathe up in our lungs. And when we hyperventilate or when we're running, we're huffing and puffing. It is all lung breathing. And we have this big muscle between our thoracic cavity and the abdomen called the diaphragm. And it's a nice big dome shape. And for a healthy breath, when you breathe in, it should flatten out. It should suck that air into the lungs so you get a full breath. Well, in order for it to do that for that muscle to contract, well, it's going to push down on the contents of your abdomen. It's got to come out. So here in Southern California, where we spend all of our time and all of our efforts all day long sucking in our bellies, it's actually the worst thing we can be doing for our stress. So what I tell my patients is to practice this. 1 hand on your chest, 1 hand over your belly button, and just start breathing. And the hand on your chest shouldn't move at all, and the hand on your belly should come out with every breath. You want to picture like you have a balloon in your belly, and every time you take a breath, it comes out, it expands back into your back, it goes down into your pelvic floor. You can feel it relaxing. You can belly breathe anywhere. I belly breathe while I'm seeing patients, while I'm stuck in traffic. I'm belly breathing right now while I'm doing this interview. You can do it anytime. Okay, so I'm not belly breathing right now because I'm a little stressed, but I'll be belly breathing after this interview. How's that? So that's one of those simple things you can do at night when you're trying to fall asleep. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you have a lot of thoughts racing through your head, it can help calm you and center you right down. The last thing I want to mention in terms of stress and anxiety management is the hour before bedtime. Every single day. I don't think a single day goes by where I am in my office seeing patients that I don't hear someone's schedule. I went to work all day, I came home, I cooked dinner, I got the kids doing this and this and this. I had to get on the computer and make sure they checked the email and make sure they didn't have any assignments due the next day. It's midnight, I run, I jump, I fly into bed, land on my bed at midnight, and then I lie there for an hour, I finally fall asleep, and then the next day I'm exhausted. I mean, we are running ourselves ragged, and quality of sleep is huge in terms of happiness. You can't be happy if you aren't sleeping regularly. So I recommend treating that hour before bedtime and setting a realistic bedtime, not a midnight 1 a.m. bedtime, but giving yourself that hour before bed to I call it a spa hour. My male patients don't like that very much. They want something more manly sounding. That's fine. Call it whatever you want. I don't care. But think of it as a time where you're going to relax. That means the computer's off, the TV's off, your cell phone is off. None of that, because all of that gives this light that's very stimulating to your brain, and it's going to keep you up and keep your brain from transitioning into sleep. So you have this hour, your lights are dim, you can read, you can do some yoga stretching, but you don't want to read on an electronic book. People who read on ebooks average 45 minutes less of sleep each night compared to people who read on paperback books. So just be careful, be mindful of that in that time before bed, and that'll go a long way in helping get your sleep regulated. So the 4 big things that I think about, at least in America, where I can't have access to complete healthcare and shorter work hours and all those things that make Scandinavians happy, although we do have good weather in Southern California. The 4 things that I think about: kindness and being mindful about kindness in my interactions. I think about my quality of life, and I think about clearing out my internal clutter, keeping the space around me clutter-free. I think about my atmosphere in my home, dimming the lights, lighting the candles. I think about my health, just trying to get even 10 or 20 minutes of exercise once or twice a day is a huge step. Counting the colors of my foods and the number of vegetable servings I have. And then finally, those stress and anxiety techniques. And that's where I think, at least for now, we are in America.